Myself, Dan Condie.
In the house.
We are watching Penguins Capitals game 7.
0-0.
Yeah, it is 0-0. Dan has just arrived. Missed the first 10 minutes. Of the first period.
Fashionably late, I like to call it.
Well, we needed libations.
Yes, we did.
To enjoy the game with. So, this is going to be a different sort of podcast. We're gonna sit here and have a conversation about sports and stuff while watching a game.
Sounds not too difficult.
Because it's Wednesday and it's podcast day, but it's also, Game 7, Penguins Capitals. So we're going to watch it. However, as we watch this, I need to ask you.
Let's hear it.
About the NBA.
I can't say that I'm surprised overall, top to bottom, with what's happened so far. Other than the Wizards turning it around, I was a little bit surprised that they would even it up. I thought that series would end up 3-1. I thought Boston would steal one in D.C., but they've been playing well. Other than that, everything's gone completely to script. The Jazz were swept, as we both thought they would be. Toronto went a little bit differently for me than it did for you. I know we talked about that before. You thought that one was going 6 for sure. You were certain. Less than 6.
I bought into the notion that the Cavaliers hadn't necessarily turned it on yet.
Oops.
And then like a quarter into that game 1, you're like, oh, they're not going to win a game.
Yeah. That's right. This is LeBron in the playoffs.
I forgot. No, that was my bad. That was legitimately my bad. They were outclassed. And Toronto.
How'd you like Draymond's comments after both series?
Surprising?
Not so much?
No. Well, what is surprising with Draymond at this point? I mean, we got dick pics. So after that, can you do anything? Him talking about another player being dirty is great. He's right, by the way, about Olynyk. He's right. Olynyk's a dirty player.
Yeah, sure.
Olynyk literally walked underneath Kevin Love last year. Yeah. Or was it 2 years ago? I guess it was 2 years ago.
He pulled Kevin Love's arm out of the socket.
That's right. That was the Kevin Love. Who did he walk
LeBron,
under?
Didn't he?
Did he walk under LeBron? I forget who he walked under. But
he tabletopped somebody on a dunk.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So either way, Draymond's right about that. What comments were you talking about?
The Cavaliers' opponents have been, not so much. Did you hear that?
I'm sorry, who's Golden State played so far?
Exactly. That's the funniest part about it. It's like, wait till this next upcoming round, then you might have a case, assuming you walk through Houston or San Antonio.
Yeah.
Which I don't know about you. I think either one of those two teams makes it through. It's not going past 6.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. I'm not over this Draymond thing. So what is that the equivalent of? Draymond complaining about Cleveland's schedule. I'm picturing like 2 UFC fighters, and they're both going to fight a kid, and one of them being like, well, that kid's bigger than the kid I have to fight. Golden State and Cleveland are doing like minimal effort to just stomp these teams.
Yeah, everybody knows that the Cavaliers are playing every team just supplanting the Warriors' faces on them.
Breakaway save by Fleury. We're at 6:47 left here in the first period.
That was a chance.
Yeah, that was a chance. The Penguins are starting to get out of their zone, which is making me feel a little bit better. No, but these teams are exerting minimal effort to advance, and whoever comes out of Boston. All right, what's a better matchup between Boston and Washington for Cleveland? Or like what series do you want to see? What series
for the casual fan?
Better for the fan. Like what's a
better
closer
for the casual
series?
fan? Celtics has the storyline. Definitely, I think it would be nice to have the Cleveland Cavaliers with home court disadvantage, at least to start the series. That adds a little bit to the narrative that you don't get with Washington. And frankly, I think that the Isaiah Thomas angle is a little bit easier to sell than would be any storyline you're going to get out of DC. What are you going to get out of DC?
John Wall on his biggest stage. That's pretty good. John Wall is like really sneaky great with no one noticing. It would be fun to have him on that stage. I think Boston is a tougher matchup for Cleveland because if Boston can shoot, then they can shoot with them.
I agree.
But I don't think either team pushes Cleveland honestly past 5.
No.
At the most. The most.
No, I don't see either of the two possible teams being a bigger threat to Cleveland than I thought Toronto was going to be.
That I disagree with. I think we talked about it going into the playoffs. I said Cleveland, Washington, Boston, Toronto is like the order I think that those teams ranked in. I think Toronto was the worst of the 4, and definitely the least of the 3 that's not Cleveland that's gonna like knock your socks off and do something great.
My feeling after the season was over was that top to bottom, Cleveland is the best overall team built for the playoffs. Correct.
Yeah.
We'll say for the East. We'll say because I don't know what the Warriors are going to look like against this Cleveland team, but I think that it's going to be an amazing matchup. But anyway, out of the East, I believe that Cleveland was number 1, and then Celtics, Raptors, and Wizards were all 2A, B, and C. They are interchangeable to me.
Yeah, I was a little more steadfast on the fact that I thought Washington was the highest ceiling team this year out of the non-Cleveland teams at least. But I don't know. I don't see many stepping stones in the way for Cleveland to get into the NBA Finals.
I think they lose one game.
Do you feel the same about Golden State? Could San Antonio or Houston grab a game here or there? I mean, this isn't a team that went 72-9 again. You know,
they could get a game. I think they would need an off night from the Warriors. That's what it would take.
And you need two of those guys to go bad.
Exactly. You're going to have at least KD and one or the other, Thompson or Curry, to shoot under 20 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Or if you're Houston, and we've seen them do it this year,
43s.
It takes 75 threes. They've come close to. They've been over 60.
Hit 43.
Yeah, hit 40. yeah, you got to hit. You got to hit 40. But you know what? They've done it.
Yes,
they've hit 40 before,
right?
So
have they hit
30.
40?
Well, I mean, I don't know. That was an arbitrary.
Might as well be
40. I guess that's an arbitrary number that might be way off.
Yeah.
But no, they've shot the lights out of the gym.
They set the postseason record with makes. At 33, I want to say, just this last series against Oklahoma City.
Oh, okay.
Or it was game 1 against the Spurs. Either way, it was one of those games where they just were. It's like, all right, pack it up. There's nothing we can do. Like, good effort.
What do you make of the Spurs team now without Tony Parker?
Oh, man. I thought Aldridge was going to be the answer for Duncan's replacement.
Yeah.
But, dude, Ginobili is a kink in that armor.
Yeah, for sure.
In that armor. Parker now is showing to be a chink in that armor. I think they miss the big body of Diaw that could fill in. I mean, when Aldridge isn't on the floor... I mean, even when he is, I mean, he's not giving you the production trade looked to be, or that pickup looked to be.
Well, he wasn't. But for the last 2 games, we talked about this. If Aldridge comes and gives me 18 and 14, which he just did, you know, like that's enough from him. Now, without Tony Parker, he's had to do this, and it's good on him because he's looked great. And the San Antonio team, we were trying to write off 2 weeks ago, and certainly after the Parker injury, it would have been easy to.
Yep.
And instead they've turned around and won 2 in a row and looked really impressive doing it.
Yeah. I think they are still top 3 in the West for sure. Even next season with their prospects. But I think that Pop's got some work to do finding, I don't know, that missing cog.
Well, Manu Ginobili had the big block, right? Last night.
Yeah.
But is Manu Ginobili really the 6th man that you want?
No. For every block that he has at the end of overtime, he's got 4 turnovers the end of overtime to lose the game.
Hall of Famer. I'm all right. Hall of Famer. We're absolutely. Hall of Fame player. But do you still? Wow. Huge hit.
Stood him up.
Huge hit. I don't know who laid that. I don't know who it was, but Ian Cole the other night. I wanted to
laid the lumber.
Yeah. But anyway, no. Where were we? I got distracted by the huge
Hall of Famer.
Hit. Yeah, Manu Ginobili's a Hall of Famer, but I don't know if he's the guy that I want at this point in that role.
At this point, no.
At this point, so So the same question that I had for the East, let's apply it to the West. Who gives Golden State a better series, Houston or San Antonio?
That's a good question. I think, God, man, I don't know. Neither team seems like the kind of team to me that can contain the Warriors. So that's why I gave that sort of qualifier that they could win a game, but it's going to be more so a lack of production from the Warriors than it will be an output from either Houston or San Antonio, and that's just for one game. So I think I'd rather see the Spurs only because I like Kawhi Leonard. I want to see him on that stage a lot more than I want to see Harden on that stage. It just,
Tom Wilson, a.k.a. human garbage can, a.k.a.
That was the funniest gif.
Drinks pee. Tom Wilson just took a penalty. Power play Penguins.
Here we go.
So you were talking about Kawhi.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my favorite question about a Kawhi Spurs Golden State matchup.
Uh-huh.
Who does Kawhi guard?
I think you'll see him switch off. They'll probably play a little bit more of a half-man, half-zone situation where Kawhi switches off for more of just an all-around perimeter defense. But I can see him primarily on KD.
That's what
Because I think you can get a cold shooting night out of either Thompson or Curry with a good press and a good closeout three-point defensive strategy. With Kevin Durant, it doesn't matter what you do. If you don't have a one-on-one defender on him, he will make you pay, and you'll just have to let him get his and throw all your other artillery at the others, we'll just call it. So I think at least at first you'll see KD getting the majority of Kawhi's attention on the defensive side.
This is something I was thinking about the other day. And I don't know if I'm way off base with this because it seems crazy because they won a championship last year.
Uh-huh.
At certain points this year, when you watch Kyrie, it just seems like he is as good as anybody on the planet.
He is.
And
Here we go. Center.
Yeah. We're on we've got the Penguin power play going here with about 3 minutes left in the first period in there.
Too much traffic. Too much traffic for that one.
So, it just seems like he has that next gear, and it feels like if they're gonna win against Golden State this year, then he's gonna have to be that crazy Kyrie, like 3 or 4 games out of 7.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't think we've ever seen it before.
Average over 30 points, I think. He'll have to average over 30. LeBron will have to average over 30. Korver and JR, between them, will have to average
over
15
30
apiece.
Yeah, over 30. I was getting the same number.
15 apiece or more.
Tristan Thompson has to get you 12 and 12.
Yeah, LeBron will get you the other however many rebounds you
18.
need. That's not a question. As long as the other guys have their shot, LeBron will find them. So it's not going to be a matter of facilitating necessarily. I see the biggest X factor in that series, assuming both of them end up in the finals together, of course. Biggest X factor is going to be the consistency from J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver, and also K Love. Does he show up at all? Because that's a real concern.
Hey, K Love, marking Curry on the last possession last year. Yeah. Stoned him at the top of the key.
Great 5 seconds of defense for him straight. Just,
It was shocking in and of itself.
It was.
Now the Penguins' power play has come to a miserable, lifeless end.
Yeah.
Not a lot of
shots on goal. They get 1, 2.
I think 1.
Yeah.
Not a lot accomplished there.
Oof,
so I would, at this point, with a minute and a half left.
There you go. Broken stick.
With a minute and a half left, I would like to get out of the first period scoreless.
Here we go.
All right. Don't yell "here we go" too many times because everybody's just gonna
not
see it. But I would like to get out of this scoreless, or maybe sneak one in past Holtby. That'd be nice. The interesting thing here, I don't know if you saw it, Matt Murray is healthy.
Oh, good.
And he's
Now
back.
what do you do?
He's backing up Fleury tonight.
Good.
It's his first active game since he injured himself in pregame warm-ups of Game 1 against the Blue Jackets.
Do you see any situation where he makes it into this game where the Pens are not behind by 2?
No.
Okay.
But if Fleury were to give up 2 quick goals in the first minute of the second period,
He'd be in.
I think
not
he'd be
even
in
then?
on the third one. I think I think he'd be in on the third one. I don't think even at 2-0 that they would take Fleury out after he's won them 7 playoff games so far.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be nice.
Ooh,
little
that was
sneaky knuckler.
quick wrist.
Malkin had a chance right before you got here. I was telling you about that. It looked like if he had brought it to the backhand, he would have scored. And then he takes a bad tripping penalty, but they killed it off. Malkin has been bothering you.
Yes, he has. He's been inept, it seems like. I mean, I don't know if he's got the jitters. I don't know if he is just unsure of himself, but he seems to wait just a little bit too long on the pass. He seems to lose control of the puck, unnecessary turnovers, just sloppy. Just, I don't know, it bugs me.
Yeah.
Especially out of somebody like Malkin. You know, you just expect more out of him. Sidney Crosby is a human puck magnet. That guy has the most insane handles and just all-around talent of anybody. It's obvious watching him how easy the game of hockey comes to him. It's insane.
He has a hard time keeping his head off of solid objects. That's been an issue for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he likes that.
First with the Niskanen play, and then with the play in the corner. And that brings me to the next subject that we have, which after 20 seconds from now, which will end the first period, I'll be able to read an email that we have. So if
all right.
People recall back to last week,
up and over,
we got an email from Sarah talking about head shots in the NHL and what should come of those happenings, right?
Yep.
You know, she had things like automatic suspension, contact to the head. I thought that was extreme. So we have what basically amounts to a short novel, which is really, really well thought out. But obviously, I think Mark knows there's no way I can read this entire thing. I'm going to show Dan how long it is. Hold on. You ready?
All right.
All right. So I've begun the scrolling process.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it looking like a Wikipedia page yet?
It's looking like its own episode
It's
of the podcast.
It's still going.
There we go.
Let's count the paragraphs. 1, 2, 3. They're big paragraphs. I've got over 10.
Over 10.
It's impressive. No, and it's all and
underestimated that.
I think we've gotten out of the first period. 0-0. Beautiful.
0-0.
Very happy about that.
Go Caps.
Shut up. So anyway, go Caps. Shut up. Yeah.
I have my reasons.
We have this. Yes, you do. We have this very long email from Mark, and it would be impossible to read the whole thing because it would take an hour.
It would be inadvisable.
It would. Yeah, I would not. I couldn't do that, and Mark knows that. And I tried to shorten it. I tried to figure out a way to do it. It's not going to do it justice. I won't be able to explain the whole thing.
Right.
What I'm going to do is post the email on the Calhoun Show's Facebook and Twitter pages.
Okay.
And also invite Mark. I know he lives in New York, but he makes his way into Connecticut at times. So if Mark is in Connecticut at some point in the next week, at any point, we can record a quick 10-minute talk about it.
Call the voicemail.
Or he can actually, he could even just call in. Yeah, so
or rewrite the email shorter.
Take all that work you did and then dumb it down for us. No, but it's really cool that he took that amount of time.
So in a nutshell,
yes.
What does this email say?
Okay, so the email in a nutshell is talking about where hitting
with the penalties,
where hitting has gone in the NHL, the way it's refereed, the way that certain hits are looked at, the way the enforcer has been moved in or out of the game now, the relation to the Olympics and what happens there. He talks about how automatic suspensions for head contact aren't fair because, this is a quote from him, because hits these days that have the head as primary point of contact are generally accidental, and many concussions occur not from the preliminary hit, but the contact made with the boards or the ice or other players.
Or the ice, yeah.
So that's one thing, and he touches on a whole lot of them, and it would be way better for him to explain it in his own words. and we could do that over.
So he addresses the subjectivity of those hits and how you can't put it in the hands of referees to determine what was malicious or what was just freak landing into the boards of the ice.
I think that's a fair summary of what he was saying.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that you can't expect somebody to decide in the moment what happened between Crosby and Niskanen. And since the things have come out, Crosby has been interviewed, and he said, "Yeah, Ovi was trying to stop me from scoring a goal, and the Niski play just happens." You know? Like that.
Right.
It was such
what's
a
he gonna say?
Yeah,
You know?
but even still, I'm sure he believes that.
Sure.
I think he would have said otherwise.
Sure.
So it's interesting. The biggest problem now is the Crosby. Did you see the Crosby play the other night when he went headfirst into the boards?
Oh, I sure did.
Okay, so
That just seemed a little reckless on his part, but that was one of those ones where it was unavoidable. I mean, 4 players came together and all just converged on the boards at the same time. Sid just happened to lose his skates. That's the only difference, you know?
yeah. So the issue that comes out of that now is the issue of him not being taken off the ice by the in-arena doctors who are watching for concussions, and if they see something, they say something, and you are out of the game, and you are going to get tested.
That's how it works.
Yes.
Okay.
The reason it didn't happen is because in the NHL's rule, if the boards are not a reviewable concussion-causing entity.
The boards are
Like a board, the boards
are
can't
pass interference.
Yeah, so like the boards can't cause a concussion, so they're not allowed. Like, so if I take my stick and hit you in the head with it, they can review you. Like, they can bring you in, and be like, you probably have a concussion. He just hit you in the head with a stick.
Right.
If I hit you in the head with a puck, they can grab you and pull you in and say, yeah, come on in. If I hit you with an elbow or a knee, they can pull you in. If I ram your head into the boards, they got to be like, are you concussed? And if you wobble toward them and somehow get the word no out, they can't say anything.
Interesting.
Isn't that bizarre?
That's written into the concussive protocol.
That's why that was the explanation given after the game for why Crosby was allowed to continue playing.
Yeah, then what are you going to do?
Yeah,
he said he could go. He looked like he could go, and
it's hysterical to me though that the NHL now spends 7 minutes a game, sometimes reviewing an offsides call.
Yeah. I know.
Reviewing an offside call that led to a who gives a shit goal in the middle of October, and now in the playoffs, Sidney Crosby's head is literally being folded into the boards. And they're not allowed to pull him off the ice. And if you're Crosby, of course, you're going to keep playing.
Of course.
Yeah, you can't blame him.
No, I think he is so sick of his head injuries. And I know that sounds stupid to say that, but I mean, just from what it's caused him, It's
been a real headache for him.
Oh, man. It's given him an identity. It really has, you know what I mean? And not his fault either in most all those cases that he gets the unfair stigma of being this paper tissue athlete because he's always getting hurt. Well, he's always getting his head smashed. It just seems to always happen with him. And you look at each individual case and it's like, oh my God, like that was one of those freak ones that you hope doesn't happen to your player, and it always happens to him. It's not just some like little bump and run where, it just happened that a shoulder hit him in the head just right and he just is very sensitive. He's taking head dives into the boards,
pucks to the mouth,
elbows to the neck as he's falling down after he gets whacked in the head with a stick. I mean, it's just crazy.
I think twice in the last 4 years or 5 years, he's been hit in the mouth with a slap shot.
Yeah.
One broke his jaw.
Yeah. If he can comprehend your question, whether or not he's concussed, his answer will be no. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah. And you can't, I wouldn't blame him. I'm sure in a similar situation, we would all do a similar thing, at least.
Especially now in this situation,
So, all right. I got to ask you.
Yep.
What did you think of the Kentucky Derby?
Didn't watch it.
Was Me neither.
With the,
yeah.
I was quite disappointed in the results. Not that I had any money down on it, but
There was something riding on it. It felt like to me.
Yeah, gentleman's wager.
A gentleman's agreement.
At the end of the day, I just could not compete with the amount of knowledge and love of horses that the person I was picking against has. And there's nothing I can do about that. At the end of the day, I just have to take my loss and try to do better. Maybe ask them what they know about horses, draw on their experience and their knowledge, and
this person you're
try again.
This person you're describing,
some guy,
sounds similar to somebody I know.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
horse lover.
Listening to this podcast. I was listening to this podcast last week, and this guy was talking about horses and making fun of them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he did give a winner to the Kentucky Derby. He did. And he said it was Always Dreaming.
Oh, yeah? Who won?
Pretty sure it was that horse. Pretty sure it was that horse. So that's right. Folks, I actually have no idea if I did it on this podcast, and that'll make sense at some point. But I did predict
it wasn't this podcast.
But I think I did mention it on this podcast.
Oh, I
did mention on this podcast that I took Always Dreaming to win the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
So if I did, yay me, and if I didn't, you'll hear it eventually.
Yeah.
But yes, Always Dreaming.
But I went 0 for 3. Like, not one of my picks even placed. Like, that was the shit part. I was like, all right, these 3 seem to, have it going into the race. Not one of them.
So yeah, in reality, you're right. I'm super smart about horses. I know a lot. Always Dreaming is going to win the Preakness for sure.
Yeah.
Mark it down. Horse is going to win the Preakness.
When's the Preakness? Is this next week? It's like soon.
I think it's March of 2033.
I think they run them like all in a row.
It's
before the end of the month.
Old horse race. Always Dreaming will still win. He'll get it.
Yeah.
No. I think it's next Saturday. So, he'll win that one, but he won't win the Belmont. Not going to win the Triple Crown.
No, you never win the Triple Crown.
Not going to. Well, that one horse did.
Yeah, who was it?
The Sports Person of the Year. That horse. I don't remember what horse it was. I really don't.
It was the one before Nyquist, right?
I always think Seabiscuit when I think of horses, and after the Seabiscuit and
what a horrible movie.
That or do you remember the horse race where the horses' names were like "My Wife Left Me" and something else?
That hilarious call.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
tell the maid or whatever. Yeah, the other one was. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
But I
had some funny horse names in this one. Not horses that ran in the Kentucky Derby, but ones that were in the preliminaries and stuff, like in their league during the year in different races. There was a horse that was pulled for injury that had decent odds to win. Yeah. The horse's name was Not This Time. I found that quite hilarious.
That's quite hilarious. All right, let's see if this is it. Oh yeah.
They're off. Little Miss Macho had a bit of an awkward start. My Wife Knows Everything broke well. Lady Mutada is up and on the pace. Rojo's Tune is out third. The Wife Doesn't Know fourth to the outside. And Eleni's Hope is fifth as they move for the first turn. On the far outside, Little Miss Macho is going up after that tardy start all the way up to battle with the leaders. On the lucky side is next.
So funny.
The ground-saving trip for Morningside Heights. Late for class in Miss Tallahassee. Or in the back of the field is Lady Mutada.
Yeah. 2 horses. My Wife Knows Everything.
And Little Miss Macho is second.
Right, so we're skipping ahead.
Yeah.
2.5. Lady Mutada.
And the Wife Doesn't Know.
Now fourth and Lady Mutada in front. Here come My Wife Knows Everything. And the Wife Doesn't Know on the far outside. Little Miss Macho is fourth. They're into the stretch.
It's so
Lady
good.
Mutada, My Wife Knows Everything. Center of the track, The Wife Doesn't Know. Into the final furlong. My Wife Knows Everything. The Wife Doesn't Know. They're 1-2. Of course they are. My Wife Knows Everything in front. To the outside, The Wife Doesn't Know. My Wife Knows Everything. The Wife Doesn't Know. My Wife Knows Everything. More than The Wife Doesn't Know. Miss Tallahassee was third, and Morningside Heights was fourth.
So My Wife Knows Everything wins.
And
The Wife Doesn't Know comes in second.
That's
the funniest thing, dude. There is
phenomenal.
a tale of 2 horses. A tale of 2 horses and a tale of 2 naming rights. One of those horses was named by the wife. of the trainer or the owner or whatever. And one of those horses was not.
Yes, one of those horses was named by not the wife.
Here, honey, why don't you name this horse this time? I'm going to name him My Wife Knows Everything. Good one, honey.
All right, we're going to take a quick break that you
let's
won't
do it.
hear, and then we're going to come back because I want to talk to Dan about some NFL stuff that he doesn't know about yet.
What?
NFL over-unders are out for the wins.
Love it.
Let's go.
The Calhoun Show.
I'll be the hockey presence here.
You're
While
doing
you get that set up.
Yeah, well, no, we're good. We're going. We're going.
right.
We're on. I have in front of me, the second period is underway, by the way.
Still 0-0.
Still 0-0.
Just over 17 left in the second.
Yes. So with the Penguins and Capitals going, we are in a situation where I'm feeling like we need to play a game.
Yeah.
To loosen up the mood. So I'm
do
going to play a little over under in the NFL with my buddy Dan here. So we're going to go around the league, and I want you to tell me what Vegas says for these teams over unders.
Oh, I'm gonna guess what Vegas picked as
Yes.
the over under.
Yes.
Okay.
Or
if I guess
if you wanna
exactly
give me
right,
two.
that's a point.
If you want to give me two, I mean, it doesn't even have to keep score. But if you want to give me two, you can say, all right, I think that they'll win 9, but I think Vegas said 7.5. If you wanted to play it that
Gotcha.
way.
So if I think Vegas will be different than what I would personally pick, I can say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you get to pick where we start. What division?
Let's just go east to west. Why don't we go NFC East?
All right. So let's
Start
start
off
with
big.
Let's start with my New York Football Giants.
Your New York Football Giants. I can see the over under set at 12. And I'm picking. Actually, you know what? I see it over under 11. I'm picking the over.
You're taking 11 in the over. You're way high
Really?
on Vegas.
No
yeah.
love, huh?
Vegas 8.5.
Wow.
You got to remember that these tend to stick to the middle. These tend to stick a little more toward the middle. Go to Dallas next. Lost a lot of pieces in this offseason.
Yeah, Dallas lost a lot of pieces, and they didn't thrill me in the draft, to be honest with you. They never do. They never do.
All right, now I'll be fair to you. I'm going to pull the second window is going to have last year's standing. So I'll tell you what they won last year because that does make a difference. Dallas won 12 last year, or 14.
Yeah,
Did they only
14,
lose
yeah.
2? Right?
Yep.
Just both to my.
Who'd they lose those 2 games to?
My New York Football Giants, obviously.
Oh, see, maybe that's why I was giving some love. Maybe I'm a little skewed out here on the East Coast.
As you should.
Okay,
be.
what do you think? Or are you going to give all these too? Because I would love to hear what you think about 8.5 for your Football Giants. You think that's fair or unfair?
All right, so I see the over under, so I won't play the guessing game, but I will talk about it with you.
Okay.
All right, so 8.5 for the Giants seems low to me.
Doesn't it?
I think the Giants are a 10-win team. So if I was setting,
I could see that.
If I was setting an over under for the Giants, it would be 9.5.
You'd be 9.5.
I think because 9-7 is unacceptable, 10-6 is good enough, 11-5 is what we want, and 12-4 would be the best case scenario.
Yeah.
So-
Man, I just for whatever reason I feel like New York is going to have a good year next year.
Well, I hope you're right. I'm rooting for that to be the case. So.
Okay, so moving on to Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas won 12 games last year.
14.
Or 13-3. They went 13-3.
13-3.
Yes.
Okay. I would say that Vegas set the over-under for them at, geez, man, if your Giants got 8.5, so Vegas set it at 10.5.
You're closer there. Vegas has the Cowboys at 9.5.
Jeez, dude, this is, man, I hate Vegas for this reason.
I think as we go, you'll start getting a little looser.
Yeah.
All right. So last year's Washington Redskins went 8-7
8-7
and won, obviously.
Yeah, I don't like the whole situation there. From the front office down to the actual players, I would give Washington Redskins an over/under of 7.5.
Nailed it. Spot on, sir.
I would pick, to be honest with you, I'd pick the over. They've got enough talent to win 8.
So I always do this, and I always find myself going over with like everybody. So I have to be careful of that personally.
Yeah.
But so far, I like the over for all 3 as well.
Well, and here's the difference between me and you probably and Vegas, right? Between us and Vegas. We tend to be more optimistic, leaning towards wins than losses. And history would probably show you that that's not a smart thing to do. And Vegas is all about history and numbers and emotionless money grabbing, calculations. So
Yeah, it's lovely.
yeah,
It's beautiful.
I hate them.
Philadelphia, 7 wins last year.
Philadelphia, I think their defense gets a little bit better this year. It's always give you a steady sort of season. I would say over under for them also 7.5.
Yeah, Vegas has it at 7. I would push it. I would take the push. 7 and 9 seems like what.
Yeah, 7 and 9 seems about right.
Seems about right. All right, so we go to the North, and the Green Bay Packers won that division last year. They went 10 and 6.
10 and 6. I see.
They add Martellus Bennett to that offense.
Yep. I see the Green Bay Packers at, 10.
10 and a half.
10.5.
So you would go under.
I'd go under. Yep.
10 and a half for the Packers seems like a short.
That's right. I would
seems
set
like
it at 10 and go over. Actually,
okay.
So I would pick over with 10.5 as well. I think they'll win 11 or 12.
I would take the under on 10 and a half.
Would you?
And I would take the over on 9 and a half. I think that's a 10-win team. I just don't think that they continue to realize their abilities.
Yeah.
It seems like they keep falling a little bit short.
Well, we'll see.
Interesting one. The Detroit Lions were 9 and 7 last year. I haven't even looked at their over under yet.
I'm going to say their over unders at 6.5.
I would. Yeah. Let's see. Detroit 7.
7.
And I would take the under. I think that's a bad team.
Yep.
Minnesota last year started off 5-0, went 3-8 in their last 11 to finish at a lovely, mediocre 8-8. Obviously, they go out, they draft Dalvin Cook.
Yep.
Still have a great defense. They had 8 wins last year. Where do they have them this year?
I don't see Dalvin Cook making up that much of a difference. I say Vikings over under 8.5.
It's at 9.5.
Interesting.
Which seems like a big number. But when you look at their schedule,
higher than the Giants.
When you look at their schedule, it's a pretty bad schedule.
Yeah, there's some bad teams in the North.
They have the Bears twice. They have a couple other. They have
Lions
Cleveland
twice, and the Packers' defense is hit or miss.
They have the Cleveland Browns. They have the LA Rams.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, not a lot of big things happening for Minnesota. And they have Adrian Peterson, the first night of the year, coming to Minnesota with the Saints.
Yeah,
think they'll be ready for that one. All right, so let's very quickly.
Is it legal to pick the over under on the Bears? Is that a hate crime?
Yeah, quickly throw a number out for the Bears.
2.
Okay, so they have it at 7.5, which is such an easy bet under that.
Yeah.
I don't even understand why it's set there. Atlanta won 11 games last year. They're coming off the Super Bowl. What does Vegas have for the Atlanta Falcons?
Oh man, I think they lost so much in Shanahan's departure, and the strength of that team was obviously their offense. So they didn't lose a lot of offensive pieces necessarily, but I think the over-under for Atlanta should be about 9.5.
Vegas not only agrees with you, but they went way further, and the Penguins have taken a 1-0 lead. Hell yes. It looks like
I pretend to cheer for the Caps, but I can't do it.
My man Brian Rust gets the 1-0 lead for the Penguins.
God, I hate the Capitals.
So Vegas not only agrees with you, but is taking it one step way further. Atlanta's set at 7.5.
7.5?
Yes.
All right. Well,
disrespectful. All right, so that means they must love another team in this division. Is it Tampa Bay? 9 and 7 a year ago. They had OJ Howard. They had a couple pieces. They look good. 9 and 7 last year.
9 and 7 last year. This is the Bucks.
Yep.
Man, I put them at 8.5.
Vegas has them at 7.5 as well.
Okay.
No love. Vegas, not love in the South. Let's go to the Saints, 7 and 9 a year ago.
Yeah. Saints had a pretty good draft, actually. I think Drew Brees is in a situation where he needs to make some noise for his, legacy at this point. I feel like he's going to have one of those years. Who they pick up in the... Anyway, I felt like they picked up a good receiver or tight end that's really going to help them out a lot. I see their over-under. Vegas probably has it at 7.5, but I would give them the over on that.
Yeah, they have them at 7.
Okay, yeah.
So you would certainly be taking the over.
Yep.
So, all under 8 for that division so far. Lastly, the 6 and 10 last year, Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I think they underperformed. That would be an understatement of the year.
Sure.
They got so much on offense from the draft. I am excited to see what they can do with McCaffrey and the other side. What was the other kid?
Oh, I'm not going to remember, but the other really quick.
Samuel or something like that?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. They are going to be fire on offense. If they can get any semblance of a running game consistently, that's going to be a fun team to watch. And with Kuechly on the defense as a captain and their foundation, I think they should win a lot of games. I don't know what Vegas has to say about that, but I would put the over-under at 10.
How about you in Vegas in sync
10?
in the NFC South? They have them at 10.5.
Ooh, yes.
Vegas loving the Panthers and Dan Condie.
Why not?
Right on top of it too.
Why not?
Sniffs it right out. Let's go to Seattle.
Yep.
10-5-1 a year ago.
Oh man, it just seems like a bad locker room over there, like a bad vibe. Like at any minute, their team is just going to implode. I don't think that you're getting the production out of Wilson that he enjoyed early on. People have seemed to figure him out, and he's getting older. That style of play doesn't last. So I think Seattle will take advantage of a couple terrible teams in San Francisco and LA, as much as it hurts me to say that. But other than that, I think they struggle. I put the over-under on them at 8.5.
Vegas disagrees with you here. Vegas has them at 10.5.
Really?
Yeah,
well,
Vegas.
We'll see.
Vegas likes them.
Yeah, there's just something about them that just gives me the vibes.
So you get vibes from Seattle.
Yeah, just bad vibrations.
Right.
Oh, that was a close almost goal.
This is one of the teams that I'm really interested in seeing what it is.
Okay.
Arizona, 7-8-1 a year ago.
Arizona's the winner in that conference to me, that division rather. I think that their defense is solid. Their offense, I really, really like their running game. And, Palmer is what it is. I have that team 9.5 probably is what Vegas would say, but I would say over.
You nailed it.
Nice.
9.5.
Nice.
Nailed it.
They like Seattle more than Arizona.
Yeah, they do.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, now we can do this quickly.
Yeah.
We have the Rams and the Niners.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the Rams will do better quicker, but the Niners are building for the future. I really, really like what Lynch has done in such a short time. He's a professional. He went in and just destroyed that draft. I mean, he made more moves, it seems like, than any other GM. He made good, rational picks for needs. But I think that's a team that still needs maybe a year or two to get in sync, whereas the Rams, I think, will that was last year for them. Goff is good, but I think he needs to get out of his own head because he's not as good as he thought he should have been last year, and I think that bugged him.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So I see the Rams maybe at like 6.5, 7.
Okay.
And I would take right around there. I would take the push at 7.
Vegas has them at 7.5.
Okay,
and by the way, I think Goff is good is a very, very, very bold statement. I don't think we know that yet.
No, I mean, I'm a Pac-12 guy, so I've watched him play my Utes defense, which for all intents and purposes you could call an NFL caliber defense with the number of players they send to the NFL every year, undrafted and otherwise.
Not an NFL caliber defense because they give up like 50 points sometimes in college. No college defense is an NFL caliber defense.
I don't think Utah has ever given up 50 points except to
all right, 40. You give up 40.
To who? I don't remember.
Cal.
Was it to Cal?
Pretty sure Cal scored 40.
And to UCLA. That was a shootout game.
Yeah. All right, I'm just saying I don't want NFL caliber defense to slide through the conversation. Hold on, just back that one back up a little bit.
NFL caliber defenses. This is plural. This is a year in and year out statement.
So like all the best Utes would be a good NFL defense. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Anyway. So the Niners, let's go ahead and put them at over under 6.5.
You have it higher than Vegas.
Yeah,
Vegas has it at 5.5. I would have it at 3.5.
Yeah. I thought Vegas would be 4.5. My pick is 6.5. I think they'll win 7.
Okay, so we go to the AFC.
Yep.
We'll start in the East again.
Okay.
With the reigning champion, New England Patriots, who went 14-2 a year ago.
All right. Well,
4 of those games without Tom Brady.
Seeing as where they put Dallas, I'm going to have to say New England gets 11.
New England's only at 10.5 according to this SI article, but I've seen 12.5.
Yeah, I'd take the over. See, Vegas is always conservative. If I was picking, I would say 12.5. That would be my line.
This is what Bovada opened with, by the way. The Patriots have gone up from 10.5.
Okay.
But these are the opening lines. That's what that's what I wanted to get in there.
Fair
but
enough.
yeah, I would take the over, obviously. All right, so this is another interesting one. Miami was a sneaky 10-6 last year.
Yeah, they were. I felt like they could have done even better than that. They seem to excuse me.
Yeah, you're good.
They seem to find themselves in a lot of 50-50 games where it came down to the final series of the fourth quarter.
Remember the Browns game that both teams really just
Didn't wanna
desperately
win?
wanted to lose?
Yeah, I do remember that. And so for that reason, that team could have been 6-10. They could have been 12-4. You know what I mean? It just they had a strange air about them last season. But I think this upcoming year, with stability on offense, I could see them getting 8.5.
Vegas doesn't like them.
Okay.
Vegas has them at 7.
7. Okay.
So what about the Buffalo Bills? 7-9 a year ago.
Same. 8.5.
Vegas right at 8.
8. Okay.
I like it. And the lowly New York Jets, and you're taking the under on whatever number you pick.
Yeah. Jets, I would put at 7.5, and I'd go under.
I can't believe you and Vegas are that high. You have them at 7.5. Vegas has them at 8. I'd legitimately set them at 6 or 5.5.
Well, I picked a 7.5 so that I could pick an under comfortably.
That's fair.
Because 7 is their ceiling to me.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, possibly the second best team in the AFC. The Pittsburgh Steelers went 11-5 a year ago. They get Martavis Bryant back. They get T.J. Watt. They get James Conner.
If for the love they can stay healthy, I think this team contends for the AFC. I'd have, I don't know, Vegas, though. Their favorites seem to all be at about 10.5, so 10.5.
Nailed it again.
Got it, yeah, see? But for me, I'm picking the over on that, for sure.
Staying in the North, Baltimore. Now, Baltimore last year went a mediocre 8-8.
Baltimore should sew mediocre in big letters across their jerseys because that seems to be what they're aiming for.
They did
They're
so
disappearing.
They did so mediocre across their jerseys. They just spelled it FLACCO.
Hey-oh. Flacco joke in the house.
What up? What's up, Danny?
Oh, boy.
All right, so where do you have Baltimore, and where does Vegas?
Vegas, 7.5, 8.
8.5 for Vegas. I would go. Oh man, that's tough. 8.5 is the right number for that team.
Yeah,
because they did not do enough to improve the offense.
Take the push with 8.
They didn't do enough to improve the offense. Nope. They are betting huge on Brashad Perryman.
Who are their receivers?
Brashad Perryman.
And
no. There's a couple of guys. Mike Wallace is there.
Mike Wallace, that's the other one.
They're okay. They should have done more. Yeah, the Penguins
center pass in the.
Yeah, you're good. Penguins still up 1-0. 4 minutes to play.
That was a little close for comfort.
In the second period in front of us here. All right,
We just saw centering pass across the crease.
And did Ovechkin miss the net there?
Yes, he did.
That was terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, so we staying in the North.
Yep.
This is a team that did do stuff to improve their offense, bringing in John Ross to put across from A.J. Green.
Yep.
Drafting Joe Mixon, who is probably going to end up being the best running back in the draft.
Could be.
So Cincinnati
could be.
Cincinnati 6-9-1, disappointing a year ago. Where do you have them?
Very disappointing. I would put the over and under at 9.5.
And that is exactly where Vegas put it. And I would take the over.
Yeah, I'd take the over
I think
too.
Baltimore is the third best team in this division now.
Yep. Maybe the Browns. I mean, they did a lot in their draft.
Cleveland had a great draft for like 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cleveland, this is going to be the lowest one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Where do you have it?
Over under 4.
4.5.
Yeah.
From Vegas. So they're going to give them the 4th win if they can grab it. All right. So now we move to probably the toughest one to pick.
Okay.
They won the division last year at 9-7, but the quarterback combination of Tom Savage and Deshaun Watson is as big a mystery as any quarterbacking situation in the league.
Yeah.
How
many wins is that a swing, do you think?
Well, you have to ask the first question, which is if you're going to go over-unders, how many games does Deshaun Watson start? 11 and a half. Over
11
under.
and a half, I go over.
I would
Assuming
too.
he doesn't get injured.
I would too. So it depends on what you think of Deshaun Watson. What do you think Vegas thinks of Deshaun Watson? Because Houston won 9 games last year with the combination of Osweiler, Hoyer, and Savage.
Yeah, but I like Osweiler
Without
right
JJ
now
without
better than
JJ Watt.
Watson. Yeah.
Oh, I like Deshaun Watson's corpse more than I like Brock Osweiler living on the field. It's not even close. Brock Osweiler is not a good player.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson might be. Fleury made an absurd stick save on
Yeah, he
Ovechkin.
did.
So Deshaun Watson might be a good player. Brock Osweiler isn't a good player. So where do you have Houston and where does Vegas?
I would put Houston at, man, with that big a question mark, I'd put them at 9.
Yeah, Vegas has 8.5, so you guys are in lockstep
Yeah.
there. I would go 9.5. That might be aggressive, but I think that defense is the best defense in football outside of potentially the Ravens, potentially the Giants.
Yeah.
I think they
Denver's
did all
lost a
that.
bit.
They did all that last year without JJ Watt for the most part, for the majority of the season. So I like Houston a lot. Another team I like a lot is Tennessee.
Me too.
Tennessee 9-7 a year ago. They get Mariota back coming off a broken leg. He's not going to play in OTAs. It looks like not going to be at the mini camp, but he should be at summer camp and preseason. So
That's good news.
where do you have
I would
Tennessee?
put the over under at 8.5, and I'm going over.
I would put the over under at 8 even. I would take the over for sure. Vegas has 5.5.
Why?
I don't know.
That's yeah. I mean, you never get a why from them. That's another reason I hate them.
I love
It's a conglomerate hive mind.
Can't hate Vegas. We like picking.
Oh,
we like
man.
picking things.
we
Indianapolis 8-8 last year. They actually have a GM who's improving the team, which is nice to see. Do they get better? Andrew Luck healthy?
Meh. I mean, I put the over under at 8.5.
Let's see. Vegas likes them. Vegas likes them to win the division. 9.5 for the
9.5,
Colts.
Yeah, I mean, a 9.5 wins that division. I think. Depending on what Houston does, if Houston is a flop in the QB spot, then it's up for grabs. I think I like Tennessee better than I like Indianapolis. Who knows? Maybe they are waiting to see. Withholding judgment on how well they'll do until Mariota shows one way or another, because that is a big piece to the success of that team. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh,
And
keep it
the
out.
Capitals
Keep it out. There
somehow
we
haven't
go.
scored again. All right, so here's the wild card of the whole AFC South, which is the yearly question: is it the Jaguars' time? Now they draft Leonard Fournette. Now they have all of these really solid pieces that they've drafted on defense over the last few years in place. They have Hearns and Robinson and Thomas and Fournette and Ivory.
Yeah, there's no excuse anymore.
Blake
other
Bortles
than-
is the yes.
Other than Blake Bortles, and that is the Jaguars. I want them to be good because I have no horse in that division's race at all. I mean, I could not care less who wins between Houston, Indianapolis, and Tennessee. Could not care less. Jacksonville, because they've been the underdog in that division for so long, I just want to see them do it. That being said, I think that they still have a piece to install at quarterback, a considerable improvement before I give them the nod. So I would say over under for them 7.5.
Nailed it again.
Yeah,
Right on Vegas's number.
All right.
I would take the under.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not buying
No.
until Blake Bortles is proven to be good.
Here we go.
Would that be?
Oh, man.
Would that be a Penguin goal? It would not. It would not.
No,
all right,
chance.
Four more
Good chance and a fight.
4 more teams to go. 2 minutes left in the second. When the second period ends, we're going to release Dan back into the world. But the Kansas City Chiefs went 12-4 a year ago. They have drafted the future, but your guy Alex Smith is for sure the starter now. What do they do this year?
Yeah, I think Alex Smith probably is the starter the rest of this season and at least half of next, if Mahomes is good.
And if Smith starts playing bad halfway through next year.
Yeah,
if he's
for
good,
sure,
if he's good
he's
next
going to
year,
have to start to slip.
If he's good next year, the only way he loses the job is if he gets Kaepernicked. If he gets hurt and then he doesn't come back.
Yeah,
which could happen.
Which is the exact point of downfall of the 49ers franchise when they were on their way back. That moment is exactly where they went wrong, and they would have beaten the Ravens in the Super Bowl in 2012 if Kaepernick had not taken over for Alex Smith.
But the tough part about that though is Kaepernick, and this is loose memory for me.
Yeah,
Kaepernick won them a couple playoff games.
Kaepernick,
he was spectacular
against the Packers.
The Packer game, yes, the Packer game
on his feet.
I don't think the Chiefs win that game with Alex Smith, the Niners win that game with Alex Smith. I think Kaepernick
they already won that game earlier in the season with Alex Smith.
That was week, wasn't that? If I'm not mistaken, that was week 1. Frank Gore had a garbage time TD at Lambeau.
Yeah, but the Packers defense didn't look good through the air or on the ground, so I don't agree. I think they still would have won, but they would not have had as many rushing yards from the quarterback.
Either way, you're right. Kaepernick was the wrong choice for the future.
Yes. So anyway, I think that Kansas City will compete for the division, but I think that they will have another champion in that division. Kansas City over under 9.5. I'm going over.
Vegas says 9.5.
All right.
Beautifully done. All right, so also 12-4 last year, but due to the tiebreakers, didn't win the division. The upstart, surprising, and a disappointing playoff exit because of the injury to the star quarterback.
Yep.
The Oakland Raiders, 12-4 a year ago.
This is my champ. I think Carr is a stud. I think this is an exciting team. I hate their fans, but I can cheer for their team, right? Why not?
Sure.
They're in Vegas now, you know? I think the Vegas Raiders will go 12-4, so I'd put the over-under for Vegas. I think they put it at 9.5, though.
Vegas goes lower than you. They hate them. 8.5.
8.5. Okay.
I would take the over easily. That would be one of the quickest trigger bets I would take. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So Denver, 9-7 a year ago. There maybe has to be a team that falls off that we don't expect. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be a game separating Denver and Kansas City for that wild card spot, and perhaps both of them get the wild card spots.
It'd be tough because those 3 North teams are absurd.
Yeah, they really are.
Well, Baltimore less absurd, but I love Cincinnati's offense.
Yeah. I see Denver 8.5. I'd pick the... Man, I don't know. I'd pick the over, I guess.
Yeah, they won 9 last year. Vegas keeps it right at the same number.
Yeah.
All right, last one.
Yep.
The San Diego Chargers, who also did a lot to help their offense.
Yeah, except for getting rid of Rivers.
Oops. How dare
Their
you?
yearly mistake that they never will fix.
How dare you? Rivers
is an idiot.
5-11
Have
last
another child.
5-11.
I think that I
dare-
hate Phillip Rivers. Okay,
I know
the hate
you
is
do.
great.
I know you do. Well,
man,
he's on
good save by Fleury.
he's on the West Coast. You don't even have to worry about him. You're an East Coast guy. So,
Man, I hope that Rivers was born out here. I really do.
5-11 last year for San Diego.
5-11 over under 1.5. I go under.
Vegas says it at 7. How dare you?
I'm just kidding.
San Diego's decent. I think they're an 8-8 team. By the way, 1-0 Penguins after 2 periods.
Hey-o.
All right, we're gonna release you back to the world. Meh. All right, Dan Condie, we will be hearing from you, I'm sure.
Peace.
Very soon. Later.
Thank you for listening to The Calhoun Show. Join the conversation by following the show on Twitter @Calhoun Show and emailing the show at calhounshow@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe and download for free on iTunes. Want to hear yourself on the show? leave us a voicemail by calling 860-740-2119.